Hello, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the SanDisk Ultra Android 128GB microSDXC Class 10 memory card. It comes with an SD adapter and has up to 80 megabytes per second transfer rate. Comes in frustration-free packaging and also different sizes such as 8GB, 16, 32, 64, 128 and 200. I myself has purchased the 128GB version. I've already uploaded some files onto there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to download them back onto my PC, reformat the card and upload them, and just give you some details as to how that works and the transfer rates involved as well. So if we go to my Android SD card here, click on properties, we'll see that what I've done is, as I said, I've got the 128 version and I've got 119 that's usable space. I'll tell you later on exactly why there's a variance in those two figures. The used space, i.e. the amount that I've actually put onto my SD card at the moment, is 83.4 gigabytes, and free space that I have left is 35.5. I've uploaded a couple of different things onto my SD card, including comic books. I have some some docs as well, which I presume a lot of people have as well. There you go. Some ebooks, some music, what else have we got? Some pictures, let's see. So you've got some images there, and also I think I'm going to have, I've got a video as well. So as you can see, that's running straight off the SD card, very fast. Just in case you're curious, I'm running Windows 10 here. That's my processor speed, the amount of gig RAM that I've got installed on the machine as well, and I'm using an SSD hard drive on my C drive here. So what I'm going to do is just going to transfer this, and then after that happens, I'm going to format the card and just kind of show you the elapsed time. So let's see, once again, you've got let's see how many files and folders that we have in here. So it seems quite a lot here. I've got a load of things, different things on this. So 21,799 files, 665 folders. So all in all, as I said, 81.8 gigabytes, and we'll just see how long that takes to kind of transfer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a straight copy here. I'm going to put it into something called my SD card, so I just know where it is. So I'm going to highlight those, drag and drop, copy it, and while that happens, I'm just going to set the stopwatch, just give a breakdown of the time as well. So it's 4:12 on Friday, and I'm just going to minimize this, and we're going to see how long that takes. So let's just see how long that goes. I'll come back to this. Hopefully this is still running when I come back, and we'll just check out how long it takes and what's been happening with it. Okay, thanks a lot for now. Okay, it seems like we're on the final stretch here in terms of this transferring. It's 87% complete. It's just running through a couple of ebooks that I'm downloading, that I've uploaded. So about 10 gigs left and about 2,500. Let's just kind of minimise that while that continues. I just want to kind of explain a bit more about the size difference on the card. So as I kind of explained before, it's a 128 card, but I've only got 119 that's usable, which means that there's 9 gig there that I can't use, and you might kind of feel cheated or wonder why that happens when you buy an SD card and it kind of changes from various amounts. In layman's terms, I'll try to kind of explain this as much as I can. Imagine if you have a 3-piece sofa. So a sofa that, sorry, not a three-piece sofa, but a sofa that has 3 cushions on there. And imagine that you sit on one cushion all the time. What will happen is that your sofa will become worn out more quicker, and you'll have to throw it away and buy a new one. What this card, or what these cards do, is that they run a little algorithm in that space, and it swaps sectors around, so that in the case of your sofa, for example, if you sit on the left hand side all the time, it will swap the cushions around, so next time you're sitting on the middle or the one on the right. So what it means is that wear and tear is spread evenly throughout your sofa, or your memory card in this case. Also, what happens is sometimes sectors go bad. You know, it's just a fact of computing. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes sectors get damaged, and what happens is that it allocates some of the space that it has within that range that it's kept for itself back to you. So imagine, again, in the terms of the sofa, is that you have a cushion that you've kind of spilt some wine over, for example, and all you have to do is swap it around or turn it over. So then, you know, for all intents and purposes, everything seems okay and everything works. And so that's what it does. That's the reason why you've got that amount of space between the actual size and the actual usable size that you have. It just means that it's kept some gigabytes for itself in order to keep your memory card working to its optimal level for longer. So it does all these things like swapping, because sometimes in your data that you have, you don't access everything all the time. Some of the stuff just sits on there until you use it, you know, around next time, or some of the stuff that you use most regularly, it needs to make sure that the wear and tear is spread evenly throughout the card. So it swaps all these things in the background, and you obviously don't see it, and you kind of obviously wonder why there's that amount of space that you can't use, and that's the reason why. I think that's how I can kind of explain it as simplistically as I can. Yeah, you can obviously have a look on the internet and find out if you want to find out a bit more information about this, but essentially that's the reason why. So just to say again, we're at the end here. It looks like 25 items, 99% complete. It's taken about 52 minutes, and it's transferred 83.4 gigabytes. And I'll stop that. So 52 minutes is how long it took. 83.4 gigabytes. Again, that's the amount of free space that I have on my card. So let's just go back to the card and see what's what. Okay, so that was into my C drive and see all the files there. That's it. Let's give a quick view. Okay, yep, that seems about right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the Android, and I'm going to format it. Just got to format this now. As I said, out of the package, you don't need to format it at all, so just leave it as it is. But if you've done something like this, and I want to format it because I want to upload everything back onto my card again, just right click on that in Windows, right click on the card, click on format, and that's the capacity. ExFAT is what I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to call this, I'm going to leave it called Android because that is the name, but you could call it whatever you wanted to. And I'm just going to quick format it. So I'm going to start that. Format complete. Close that. If you go in there, that's it, all gone. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy across all the information back into the SD card. So on my C drive, as you recall, I had it in a folder called my SD card. I'm going to highlight that and send to Android, which is my SD card. Going to minimize that. Start the stopwatch. It says approximately about an hour and 30 minutes. We'll see how long this actually takes. Okay, so we're just in the final straight here. I don't think it's going to take 30 minutes. I think it's going to take 3 minutes or less. That's the amount of items remaining. 98% has been copied free. About 22,000 items have been done. It was altogether about 83 gig, and it's taken elapsed time, I'd say, let's say between 3 hours and let's say 50 minutes. So there's a couple of things here that I'd like to kind of point out as well. When I transferred the stuff from my hard drive to the SD card, a lot of my items were predominantly MP3 files and also pictures. Those were commonly kind of, on average, they're kind of less than 5 megabytes. And so what's happened is that the speed for those transfers was approximately 5 megabytes and a couple of kilobytes. It was very kind of low. When it got up to video files and larger file sizes, it was working at about 15 megabits per second. So maybe it also depends on the amount of stuff that you've got that you're trying to transfer back and forth onto your SD card. Everyone has different different items on their card, so it really does depend. Also, what is also going to affect the transfer rate is your machine, the amount of hardware, space that you've got on your machine, how you're connecting the SD card. Is it via an internal SD card slot? Is it via a USB cable? Is it via USB 3 cable? All these things matter. The hardware and the actual documents or files that you're moving across, and how many there are. I don't think uploading files onto an SD card is too much of an issue, simply because you're not going to do it every time. I mean, this is 80 gigs that I'm trying to transfer onto this SD card. It's not a thing that I do every day. Normally, I'm pulling off information off there, like, for example, a couple of pictures here and there, or I'm accessing files on this SD card. So what I'm trying to do is kind of write files on the SD card. And as you saw at the beginning of this video, there was, I kind of went through ebooks, documents, photographs, music files, MP3 files, pictures, videos, and they loaded up really, really fast, which, on a day-to-day kind of basis, that's probably what you want to use this for. You want to be able to, find your data on your SD card, on your phone or on your tablet, see it without any kind of lag, and do whatever you need to do it, save it or close it, and that's it. So uploading, I don't think is too much of a problem. The download, as I said, was a reasonable amount. It's just it was 52 minutes, and so it's taken like 4 times as long. But as I said, it really does depend on the amount of files that you've got, and the quantity of files, and the types of files that you have as well. All in all, I think the SanDisk Ultra Android card is a really, really good card to use. It's made from SanDisk. It's a good quality card, and the whole thing is you want to make sure that your data is kept safe and that you've got a copy of it, and that that it's going to be reliable and it's going to last for a long time. So I have no hesitation in recommending this card. I've used SanDisk before, and it really hasn't had I have never had a problem with this. I've noticed some comments from users that say they've only got like about if they've bought like a 128 card, they've only got a usable amount of 30 gigs or so. There's 2 reasons for that. Either they've got a faulty card, which sometimes these things happen, and if you get a faulty card and it's from Amazon, you just return it back and they'll give you a new one. Alternatively, sometimes there's a possibility, if you're not buying from SanDisk, that you're buying it for a third party, and they may have unwittingly sold something that's a fake. So always return it back if you have a problem of that nature. But for 99% of the people, they haven't had an issue with these cards. We're kind of heading up to the last amounts now. It's a really useful card. I use it all the time. It's very fast on my phone. I haven't had any issues with it, and as I kind of mentioned before as well, you want to make sure that you've got enough space for your data by doubling the amount that you've got in terms of your card. So if you've got 50 megabytes of data that you want to make sure that you've got access to in your card, don't buy a 64 gigabyte card, because some of that again will be used for usable space. Buy a 128 gig card, and it will make sure that you've got enough space to deal with your data, but also to deal with expansion, because your data always increases. It doesn't really decrease. So you just want to be prepared for that. SanDisk works really well. I've kind of also explained about the buffer that it has to make sure ensure that your data is kept safe. It works really well. Really happy with it. And you know, get the size that you actually need and require. That's it. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you did, then please click. If you found it useful, please click yes. That would kind of like make my votes higher, and I really kind of appreciate the fact that you do that. Okay, so thank you very much, and goodbye.
This is a review of the SanDisk Ultra 32GB micro SD card. You can see it here. It comes packaged like this with an adapter that you can plug this card into and make it a larger size SD card to fit the kind of device you may have. This is the second one. I bought two of them, and this one here has a speed of up to 80 megabytes per second, so it's a pretty fast card. I have a box full of micro SD cards. I never seem to have enough of them, especially the ones that are rated for 32 gig. I put them in tablets, phones, and speakers, and I give them away to friends and family. 98% of the ones that I own are SanDisk, and I've had good success with them so far. I probably have purchased over 100 of them, and I've only had one disk fail. I always try to use the Class 10 speed cards, which these are, and I like those because they write fast and they've been very high quality. The 32 gig size is popular as it formats with FAT32, and it's acceptable by almost all smart devices. Some devices that use larger cards that go above 32 gigabytes use what's called exFAT, which is a proprietary software by Microsoft. People have to pay royalty fees to use exFAT in their devices, and a lot of companies just won't do that. They won't pay it to Microsoft. In my speed test using benchmarking software, this card tested at a max read speed of 93.368 megabytes per second and a max write speed of 22.826 megabytes per second. This is an excellent speed test. It was performed using a powerful 6-core computer and using a USB 3.0 port and a USB 3.0 card reader. Based upon these test results and my satisfaction with the product, I'm going to rate this at 5 stars. This review was done by JJCEO.